Alright, YouTube fam, welcome back. This is Dark Angels channel. I'm Shakira. No vid today, not looking my best. I mean, worse than the poof, guys. Worse than the poof. So, although I guess the poof wasn't so bad. But hey, check it. Mostly I'm gonna be on camera, so don't you worry. But today, let's keep it chill. Hung out with my peeps last night, celebrated a birthday. Maybe had a, I don't drink very much, but had a little bit of extra, so I'm not feeling the best. So, I add that to say is like, if you're not feeling like 100%, if you're sick, if you're sad, if you're angry, if you're just any type of emotional or anything that could throw your emotional state off, then I'm gonna say don't do any type of trading, okay, y'all? Just don't do it. So, given that I am currently in a space not feeling the best, I figured it would be better for me to do a little back testing, and I'm gonna use a different coin so I can test out. I want to test out a couple of things. I want to test out the CPR indicator, which basically has like cool pivot points that the price could get gravitated to, along with resistance and support areas that get formed throughout the day. And I was seeing some pretty juicy things on, what was it, yesterday actually, using this tool along with the moving averages, right? So for the CPR, the one I'm using is by KGS, pretty good. I'm just doing the daily pivots because I just don't want the charts to be too crazy. And given how volatile the market's doing, I'm gonna set the daily resistance 1 and 2. I'm gonna keep those up, and the support 1 and 2. It can get a little noisy, but let's keep those going. And then of course, as I mentioned before, I do like the moving averages, and I'm using the weighted moving average. So I'm using the 5, 13, 50, and 200. Let me come back in here and make sure and double check. So 5, 13, 50, and the 200 is what I've got visible. So 5 is going to be orange, 13 is going to be green, the 50 in this case is going to be yellow, and of course 200 is going to be white. And of course my downtrend channel, just because I love that thing. It's a great indicator for where I can put my stop loss. And then of course my higher lows, which I'm currently just going to show the higher lows and remove the zigzags. And I did make a quick adjustment to the overbought levels, so 80 versus 20, so I can get a more accurate reading. All right, I think the defaults are usually like 65 35, and I don't like that, so testing these out. And then of course my trusty imbalance finder. Yes, love this thing. This thing is life. Great for figuring out targets, areas for entries, all of that good stuff. All right, so if that all sounds like good time, I'm just going to be back testing those particular things. And I'm using Link USDT perp, and this is on Femex. Since it's a back test, it doesn't have to be on my current exchange. Let's keep it all under one roof, right? USDT perp, and I'm using BitGet. Here you are. Boom. Let's switch that over. Perfect. Because you saw my last vid, I was like, I got caught with my proverbial pants down because I was in the wrong exchange, and that really messed me up. So don't run into those issues, okay, guys? All right, so I've zoomed out, and I've actually pulled the chart back for Link. I don't know, where did we pull it back up to? September, like 18th, 22. Is that right? Oh, so this is now. I thought I hit the replay. I bet you it messed with me. All right, so let me stop. And let's just randomly do a replay back. I wanted to do a quick test of just like a random area and see how it works. But let's just pull it back like this much and see if it'll let me. Okay, good. All right, so looks like it let me replay back up to 15th of July. I don't know what the hell and I've never tried to do a back test on this coin, so your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, so let's jump in, right? So I'm on the daily, and what I want to do is figure out my high level trends. So we're in a what is essentially a bear market, so let's draw out our levels. At least try and make it as accurate as possible. I'm not going to use this guy because it's too far away from anything, and this guy is too close. So let's see if this one works out for us. All right, let's just check that out. All right, we gotta zoom in a little bit here. All right. Of course, we got what looks like a false break above it. Boom. And a little juicy touch, a little break over, a little twofer right there. So that's not bad. So, drawing your trend lines properly is definitely a thing, right? And if it breaks out more and creates another level, then I might add a second one to create like, a trend channel versus just like a single line, because honestly, like our levels at this point, I'm beginning to learn they're actually zones, because price likes to oscillate above them, come back into them, etc., etc. And I think once we start to understand that just because we've drawn a line on a chart, that it doesn't have to follow that, right? But we're in a strong downtrend, so I'm changing my mindset in terms of how I want to trade, and just wanted to grab that and just draw this arrow here. Yeah, so we're in a strong downtrend, right? Just reminding myself. All right, cool. So we're on the daily, we're in a downtrend. Is there any set of levels that we can draw as well that we could be paying attention to? Since we're going to be trading all the way down here, let's zoom in a little bit and see if we can see anything juicy happening down here, anything fun. And I'm doing all this before I even like add the CPR and SMAs. I just want to do this on a clean chart. So let's just draw the levels that we can see. All right. And if you can't see it, it's not there. It's got to be pretty obvious. And then after you pop it on, just make sure to zoom in a little more. Make sure you've got as many touches as possible to make it as strong of a level as you can make it. All right, guys. And then if there's like breakouts in the levels or whatever, so let's see. Then you can, readjust or add a secondary level as confirmation for a proper breakout to the upside, right, or whatever. Anyway, so let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3 touches on the bottom. Cool. And man, this looks boring as all get out. Maybe I didn't pick the right freaking coin for this, but hey, let's see if we can make this work for us, right? All right, so I'm gonna add one other level just because these two plopped up here. And let me just, oops, what just happened? Boop. All right, cool. So I'm gonna add that level as another one because it did break above. It thought about it and then it rolled back in. And I don't think this has enough history. Oh, no, I lied. Haha, let's go. That's a good thing to also double check. Guess best to back test your levels to make sure it's been tested prior as well. So let me do this. All right, so this top level, it broke through. Let's double check here. Yeah, so it's been used a little bit, so it's pretty juicy. I dig it. This one's also pretty juicy. Good. More confirmations makes the levels a lot stronger, so that makes me feel better. So let's roll over to the front now that we've done that, and let's zoom out. Oops, take the auto off. And by the way, right, let me zoom this a little more. Looks like a falling wedge, right? So eventually, what goes down must come up eventually, right? Once all the macroeconomic things align, right? that might mean the Fed will turn on the money printer, you know, anything like that. Or, you know, the war in Ukraine like comes to an end, and, you know, all of the annoying things that are causing issues just kind of stop. All right, let's dig into the 4 hour. And oh my God, that is terrible. Okay, sorry. Sometimes when these charts blow up, they really irritate. All right, so sometimes after you've drawn your trend lines, and I'm just doing this from the beginning to the end as I'm going to test these levels. I'm going to add the indicators in shortly, but I just want to make sure my levels are sorted, you know, and if maybe I need to adjust them even more, because you can see a little bit better on the lower time frame. So let's see here. So when I drew it originally, we had 1, 2, yeah, so I'm gonna plop it down a little bit. That looks juicy. 1, 2, 3, almost a little break above, but didn't close above it, so you can bite me. That's good. That's nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, it's a little choppy here, but not bad. So that feels pretty good. Let's check the bottom level here. And the reason why I care so much is because, you know, this thing is moving. This is like a sideways move at this point, right? If we zoom out a little bit and oops, nope, not the right way. Boom. You know, right now it broke out, came back down into this level, and now it's just kind of going this boring sideways. So oh my God, I don't even know what we're gonna do with this, but let's see what's up. All right, so, and I want to make sure it's perfect, because in a sideways move, you know, you have the potential to use your support and resistance as areas of entry, you know. So once it comes up to your resistance, you go short. And honestly, and then when it comes to your support, be careful. It is a downtrend on the higher time frames, but you could go long back up. But don't do anything in, you know, just by themselves. You have to have multiple things working in your favor, giving you some confirmation that, yeah, it might go back up. You know, honestly, I think what I'm going to be doing now is just, you know, since we're on a downtrend, I'm probably just going to be taking shorts until the higher level trend reverses, or as we're about to find out. And like I said, I don't even know what the heck is going to happen when I put this indicator on to test it out. Anyway, so let's go double check our bottom level, and I might adjust this a bit more so I can get more touches. All right, just to make it a little bit more juicy. So let's see, is that better? Let me see if I can get that bottom thing. So that guy, okay, almost a little breakdown. So there's still a little tiny level at the bottom here. It likes to come back around, so I would just mark this one off just for funsies as like overflow, or the zone, because C likes to break into it. Anyway, all right, so I think we're in somewhat good shape with these levels, and now we're just going to be trying to figure out what the heck is going to happen after this. So this is on the 4 hour. Let's jump in on down to the 15. Oh gosh, goodness. Gotta put the auto back on, and then let's readjust, because I want to be able to see, hold on, yeah, I want to be able to see where the levels are. It's a little hard. All right, I want to be able to see the levels, and but still see the price action. So based on where we are, we're somewhere in the bottom layer of this channel. Not quite bottom, somewhere in the middle, trying to, you know, roll our way back up to this puppy. And so I'm gonna add in my chart information, then all of a sudden it gets really choppy looking, right? So I'm gonna do this, right? I'm gonna slowly take a few things off. I'm gonna leave my imbalance finder and my higher lows just so it looks a little cleaner on the 15. And what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for areas of interest. So, imbalances, things like that. And, basically using an order blocks or breaker blocks or even a support resistance flip area. But, man, this is all gross and sideways. And I'm just curious to see if there's any juicy breaks that I could potentially use for any kind of price action. But honestly, this type of chart really, really, this type of action is just, I don't even know what to say, And honestly, if you don't understand what the heck you're looking at, it might be a good idea to run away. But, all right, so next things, I'm just going to add the moving averages in. Oh, goodness. All right, well, look. So it looks like all of the moving averages came in and they all converged on a particular area, right? So usually when they're converging like this, it's going to be some sort of impetus to go long or short, depending on if you're closing above, like it did here, but it's short impulse, right? It didn't go very far. Or like right here where it's like squeezing between the 200 and the 50. So, obviously, it's going to pop like. So, even better example. Look at this thing. Bam. It was like these guys converged. The 200 supported, 50 supported, and it just popped. So I'm expecting some sort of behavior like this, right? What's irritating me is that the 200 is so close. All right, so I said I wanted to test out the CPR. Let's add that puppy in. Okay, so let's talk about CPR, and let's remove other things just to keep it a little clean for the moment. It's hard to see sometimes. All right, so the CPR, and this is what I've learned about it so far, right? So if you've got a packed, and let me do this, right? Let me zoom out a little bit. And actually, let's make this even easier to see for a moment, right? So I'm going to take out the resistance areas and the support areas just temporarily, just so we can start to see a trend, right? So, and I'm just gonna do this. So for example, we see these CPRs like super spread out here, right? And that usually I think indicates like some kind of consolidation area, right? And then, once it consolidates, then there's going to be some impetus where, and it can consolidate for as long as it wants, right? Because there's 2 rounds of it up here, right? And price is trading, entirely above it. And, the thing that I find very interesting and I'm still trying to understand about using this particular strategy is, hold on a second. Sorry guys, just thought I had some mic issues a second ago, but looks like we're good to go. Anyway, so usually after it does some sort of consolidation, and in this case it was on an uptrend, consolidated, and then it printed this super tight version of the CPR, right? And these are like pivot points. So, if you're trading at the bottom of this thing for the longest time, then I would suggest, in confluence with other things, right? In combination, potentially taking a short. And I'm about to show you what I mean in just a few minutes. But this sort of price action, tends to confuse me, and it gets a little bit easier to understand once you add in the resistance areas up here, because then that's areas where it could bounce from, assuming we don't have a big impulse to go up, as we saw in this little short period of like, yay, we're going up. Anyway, so these guys consolidated, and then it printed this really tight version of it, right? And that tight version usually means that there's going to be some sort of trend change, probably, that's coming, right? And I would suggest, back test it, because that's what I'm doing. I'm back testing the heck out of it, right? So, but if you take a look at this, like we were going up, 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 consolidation, tightness, and then we started printing lower versions of the CPR, and the trend, switched out. I really should start using this what's this thing called? This brush thing, right? So we were going up, and then this happened, and then the trend just reversed, right? That's not pretty, I know. Don't judge me. Switch that. Okay. Anyway, so the trend reversed, and we did some weird, fun downwards trend consolidation, and then check it out, another tightly packed version, and then the trend switched back up again. So all I'm saying is it's a nice way to kind of like indicate where it's going. And right now we've got like a nice consolidation looking thing, and then this somewhat of a tightly packed, not as tightly packed as this guy, or this guy, but still, somewhat tightly packed. So I'm thinking that, this one might mean that there's going to be change coming soon, but maybe not, maybe the next print. I could be wrong. Don't judge me. Also, guys, be mindful, right? If you're using the CPR attached with the moving averages, like I'm about to, continue showing you guys, make sure you know what time of day it is, right? So these things get printed, if you're in Eastern Standard Time, they get printed at 12, right? The new versions get printed at 12 p.m. So be mindful that if you've seen a specific strategy and an area of potential entry, and it's right before noon Eastern Standard, convert that to whatever time zone you're in, then I would wait, because that's going to be a new print with new targets, and you do not, and I repeat, you do not want to be stuck in a space where you thought it was going to do something else and it printed a different way. All right. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to mention regarding that. So let me just plop this up, and let me put the R1s in and the R2s, and it's going to get messy looking again with the colors. Let's see. We can make it more fun, right? We can make these like little crosses, and then we can do the R1s, make those little crosses, and just to start differentiating things. Anyway, so so let's dive in, right? So the other part of it that I wanted to show you is, adding in I'll just leave that just so I can remember that it's currently in some sort of moving average. All right, so the other part that I wanted to mention is, and the part that gives you that confluence, right, is if you add in your moving averages, right, and you're looking for a scenario where, for example, when you're at these tightly packed areas, right, and your moving averages, they're currently going upwards, right? And I'm still trying to decide or figure out really whether or not if a moving average is above or below another one, if that even matters. Because look at this ridiculousness, right? Like it looks like on the downtrend the 50 was below the 200. So you can take that with a grain of salt. And on the uptrend area, the 50 was above the 200. On the uptrend, and let's backtrack a little bit and let's see, because I'm always trying to figure out if this is something that we can actually utilize, right? So usually, I feel like when the 200 is below price action and the 50 is below price action, and it keeps coming back to touch it, it's, we're probably on a little bit of a mini uptrend, right? And so far we see it here, and let's go back, below, up, you see it there. This is a confusing space, and I would just leave that alone if I were you, personally, unless you're like an advanced trader, you understand what the heck any of that means. I am not, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's go back again some more. All right, so here's another example on the opposite side, right, where the 200 is above price and the 50, well, it's not being respected a ton, But, I feel like as long as the 200 is above price, you should be looking for shorting opportunities from here. So here's a good example. And yeah. So and this is the reason why I have the 5 and 13 on here, right? So in this example, we're seeing that prices is below the 200, right? The 50 is not being really respected very, very well. So I would, probably ignore it for the most part, at least in this scenario, because it's too choppy. And I like to think of the 50 as like a target. So, and then we can see that we're in a bit of a downtrend, and we've got a tight combo option here. So I would still be looking for some sort of a potential change in the trend, but not quite yet, because it's tight, but it's not super tight, because this tight one right down here really did change the price direction, right? Look at that. But this is kind of like a signal to say, hey, potentially, and this is my thoughts, my opinions, what I'm thinking. I'm going to be testing this and back testing this over and over again so that I can solidify this. But this is what I'm thinking. So, we're still in the downtrend. Potential for going down is still a thing. So let's take a look, right? Now, the 5 and 13, what I want to say about that is this. Once you see, price and the 5 or 13 or whatever, moving average that you want to use, they're in confluence with the CPR lines, especially if you're trying to go short in a downtrend, in a downtrend like we are right now, then your best entry, right, is going to be a scenario where you're below the bottom CPR line, and there's a confluence with the moving averages, and they're converging, right? At least one of them, even better if two of them are there with you, right? So this area here, we can see that the 513 are like basically hanging out just under the CPR. Even better if it's even touching it, like this one right here, even better. But I like to wait for it to be like super close to it, and then you could take a short, and then your potential target, if you're using the CPR, could be the first S1 line or the second, the S2 line, right? And when it comes to targets, guys, like, definitely look to the left of your charts. Are there any imbalances or any things that might pull the price? Sorry about that. Just delete that, right? So in this case, right, if you'd entered in to a trade from here, you could have set that target here. I mean, there's no guarantee that it was going to come down to S2, but there's scenarios where you could have entered into your thing, into your trade, set your first target for taking profits at the first S1, like maybe say take 50% off the table, pocket that monies, because we're here to make money, right? And then set your second take profit at the next S2 line, right? Just as an example. All right, so let's head back over to our area of fun that I've drawn back. I don't know what the heck is happening here. All right, so looks like price is, and let's take a look at the CPR. So looks like we've got a nicely tightly packed CPR that is, and a consolidation, price is going back up. And then this one's kind of contracting a bit, like they're losing steam. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is going to be a good opportunity to go long? Now, remember what I said, right? Like, I'm thinking to myself, I just want to do shorts, right? But if price is going to be trying to move up to this first resistance line, I think we're in a channel. You do have the potential to wait for it to come back here and then take the short down from this area, and then even leave your trade open long enough to hit this next area, right? So given the way this is moving, I'm not touching it just yet because, you know, it's giving me potential trend direction change, you know, and the move up to S2 R2 wasn't super strong, but let's let it play out a little bit and see if we can potentially find a better entry, right? So let me press play. Oh, hello. Maybe I'm wrong. Just gonna let price do its thing. Oh, okay. So let me pause here. All right, so here's a fun fact, right? Remember what I've said about waiting if you're super close to the end of the CPR or the trading day, and I guess it's not really the end, the beginning of a new trading like cycle for the CPR. They get printed at noon, right? This one got printed. Look at the difference. That thing, printed a little bit higher, but it's still super close to this guy, right? And now we have new targets for the R1. Actually, yeah, I think our R1 is still somewhere here. That's S1, sorry, and this is S2. So zoom in a little bit more here. Yeah, it can sometimes it's so hard to see when they first print, right? Yeah, so there it is. Right? And this is tight, and we were going up, right? So what I would think, what I'm thinking here is tight, it might reverse and come back and hit this guy. Now, what I'll be waiting for is for the price, and again, it's still packed super close to the 200 and the 50, just, reached above it, and, apparently if based on what we've seen so far just in this example, if the 50 is above, it might be going up, and the 200 is below, so a long is potentially in your favor, at least within the channel. But this tight CPR does make me feel like the trend might be reversing. So I'm short biased at this point, given that I want to do things, even though, wait, this, if I were to get something from here to here, would be, well, 17.73 from a return perspective. And if I were to grab something from under here to the next one, hold on, let me zoom out, use that again. Let's see, at the bottom of the CPR, if all stars aligned, that would be more of a 9.63% return. But I just have to I just have to work with what price is telling me, right? And, if the CPR is saying that, it might change. So I'm going to wait. Let's let this play out, and then I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And let's see how price, if it comes back down to the CPR, and if the moving average continue, pointing upwards, right? And price starts to move away from the 200. If it does that, then, I'll feel comfortable taking a long at least up to this area. So let's see. Let's see. So we've got higher highs, making higher lows on the 15. We've come up almost to the S2, and we're getting some space. All right, and the 200 is above the CPR, so maybe I'm wrong. And see, maybe we can find some support at the S1, but I don't know, it looks like we're printing. Oh, there's a higher high, so hey, maybe I'm wrong. All right, so we're printing higher lows, higher lows. All right, so let's pause here, right? So at this point, we're using the S1 line as support, it looks like, and the 50 is up over it. It seems to be turning like the original momentum, it's merged with it, and price has fallen below the 50, so maybe my original thoughts aren't wrong. And the 200's coming up behind it, so still not comfy entering into anything here. Let me just play here, see how this plays out. And I've never tried to trade Link USDT, so let's see. So we're still using this oof, just broke below it. All right, we made a low and disrespecting the 200, showing it who's boss and it's downtrend. Oop, and check it. A whole day has passed by, and now we've printed new ranges. But hey, it's printing higher and higher ranges to work with. But guess what? Look at it. Let me zoom in. Look at that print. Look at it. Now we have a new tightly packed pivot areas, right? Daily pivot areas. And the moving averages are at the bottom. Look at that juicy opportunity for a short. Okay, what do we have in confluence? We have the 5, 13, and the 200 at the base of the CPR. So now I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna take a short. Here are my potential areas. It's not as tight as before. We've got this resistance area here, support area 2. I'm gonna go over to the side. Anything juicy, there's a little bit of an imbalance over here, a little imbalance over here, a little imbalance. So imbalance all the way down to the first. Let's see, is there anything else juicy? Let me zoom out. There's an imbalance quite close to the S2. So let's say we do this, right? So I'm seeing this. I'm like, you know what? The stars align. Life is like a box of chocolates. I'm going to enter at the start of the next candle. So approximately somewhere around here. And let's do entry here. And I'm going to set my target because it's a downtrend and there's this juicy thing over here. I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to set, let's say, take profit 1. Let's say, take profit 1. I'm going to do this in three stages, right? And I'm going to call this. So let's say I take profit here and I take 25% off the table, right? Oops, let's make that green. Just to keep it in the juicy juice. Let me just check my audio. Looks like we're still going good. All right. Sorry, my headphones keep doing weird things. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to clone it. And then I'm going to take another 25% off the table at this level. And then the coup de grace, just for funsies. Don't know if this will even work. We're just testing this puppy out. I'm going to try and, take the next 50% closer to the bottom of this range because we've already touched it right before, right? And this is me trying to stay in the trade longer and get my money. And I'm going to add the Donchen channel for funsies, and the channel's all the way up here, and this is where I'm going to set my stop loss. And this is something that I'm trying to get comfortable with, that I should be okay with more than a 1% loss, because I need a larger stop loss so I can stay in the trade longer, right? So I'm going to set it above the channel, and that should give me a lot of space. So let's see if that works out for me. All right, so I'm going to speed this up even more and press play. All right, how does this work? All right, we got the first take profit. Not quite hit. We're making another lower high. We're still respecting the bottom of this thing. All right, pause. Let's see. Have I been stopped out? Most definitely. Right there. All right, so I got stopped out, so I was maybe some kind of wrong. Let's see. That's why you got to test these things out before you put your money where your mouth is, right? All right, so let's say I got stopped out here, and that's why I don't like this chart. There's too much. These things are way too close together. Plus, this is super tight. It's not super. All right, so first attempt failed miserably, right? So we got stopped out right there. Let's see if there's a potential for another entry back in. And it looks like, I was wrong. Although it did drop. Did it get anywhere close to my take profit? No, it didn't. It never touched the S1 down here. It got close to that same level twice. That's just mean. But this is so annoying. And I guess this is the part that's super important, right? If the moving averages are moving downwards, right, there's some sort of indication. But hey, what do they say, right? Like, you got to test things out and figure it out and see if it works for you. So that theory did not work well, at least not with Link. All right, how did this finish up? Let's go. So now all of the moving averages are pointing upwards. And yeah, so it looks like it's trying to make for this area instead. All right. So, and strongly too. Hold on. Let's take a look at sometimes you have to zoom out so you can see the proper trend. See, that's what got me. We're still in an uptrend, printing higher CPRs, and I was not paying attention. So it's another reason to pay attention to the external trend, even in a channel. So that's what got me. We're still in an uptrend. I made an assumption on a lower time frame, super zoomed out, and I got bitten. That's on me. But that's why we backtest, so that we can understand what we're doing wrong. So on the flip side, in an uptrend, you would be looking for the price 513.50 to find confluence at the top of the CPR, I think, and then write it up. So the difference in these entries would have been we're on top, so enter about there. Stop loss would then be at the bottom of the Donchian channel, which is really far away. And honestly, I don't like that. So I probably, in all honesty, would have put it just under the CPR itself and under the 200. Just for funsies. You can barely see that. Sorry about that, guys. Let me move that. All right, yeah, so just under there. And then the take profit would be the same scenario for me, right? I would have tried for, and this is all in hindsight, right? 25% there, 25% there, and then take the next 50 somewhere just below here, because you never know, it might never touch it directly. It might just hover and then, or just break above it. Who the heck knows, right? All right, so let's zoom out again, because that really burned me just now in my testing. And we're still in an uptrend. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. My bad, guys. That was see, learning experience. Okay, but check it out. This is also leaving juicy imbalances for a nice juicy short from up here as targets. So thumbs up to that. All right, so let's see if, let's go back down to our 15 minutes, zoomed in. And, I think for me, I should probably make a quick note, maybe uptrend in channel, and then when it changes to a downtrend, just make a note. That way I remember that it's in the channel, but it's going up. And I think we all need some kind of method for staying on top of this sort of thing, All right, so my other thoughts are this, right? So let's wait for another set of these CPRs to print, because obviously, once I got stopped out here, I would have, and I hope I would have, because this is the mindset and the psychology that I need to work through as well, is once I got stopped out here and saw the confluence, I would have hoped that I would have taken the long from this area and then, aimed for these guys. There's also, and let's add it in since we are heading all the way up. Let's add the resistance 3 areas and 4, since there's like other targets, right? And maybe since I have that 4th one, I would move my take profits to here, since it's close to the end of the channel. And so let's say I got stopped out. That would have been a mean amount of loss. So the entry was here, right? And per this, it would have been like a 1.68%, because they were relatively close together, so it's not too bad. Setting stop losses can be really insane. The other option would have been if we'd added the average true range for the area. So the entry would have been about here, and the average true range at that point looks like 0.045. So then the other option that you could have done was taken this high here. Actually, did we even know that high was there? No. Maybe taken the top of the CPR, which is at 6.517. So let me do this. 6.517 plus entry here, plus the CPR, which is hard to see on the right here, 0.045. And then the stop loss should have been at 6.562. 6.56. Okay, well, just for funsies, let's put it here. Would have still been stopped out, but let's see. Coordinates 6.562. 6.562. Oops. This will straighten it out too. It's great. All right. So, yeah, we would have been stopped out like boom. But if we were smart, once we saw it kind of compacting, and maybe even once we saw this where it switched up, we might have just gotten out. So, watching the price action and just understanding what's happening is also good. So you can like see a trend change, especially when you make the type of mistake I just made in not understanding what the trend within the channel was, right? Anyway, so hopefully, that helps. So let's finish this up and see how this would have worked out if we'd like closed out here and then, taken what tiny bit we had, and then re-entered up here once price, became, got above the 200, and the 50 and 5 and 13 were hanging out on top of the CPR and taking the long. Again, stop loss would be below the downtrend channel, which is like super far. I don't like that, so I would have taken probably the bottom of the CPR minus the ATR at the point of entry. Okay, cool. So let's press play. Oh, okay. Ooh, still making higher lows. Ah, look, Let me pause quick. Printed a new one. They're practically side by side, so targets are pretty much the same. Cool. That might mean that it's not going any higher or even not, but whoop, broke below the 50. And that finally created a low. So far we've taken 25% here, 25% here, or maybe we should have taken 50 here. You know, you've just got to like manage your own, like, you know, like what's more important to you, like, you know, grabbing as much profit up front, seeing how it plays out, and then exiting, because you're still in a profit, right? It's just how much of a profit. And this just printed a low, but it's got a higher high and a low. And look, we've got new targets. Ooh, new juicy targets. So pay attention to the way the CPRs print. So a new day, new targets. This guy is higher up, so that makes me feel like price is going to continue going upwards, right? Let me move my reminder note. And then at this point, I'm going to stick it in. So we've booked 25. We've booked 25. So we've got 50% profit. 50% is still on the table. And let's see how the CPR behaves, right? Because we're slowly trending. Price has turned. And honestly, I probably would exit, just because, you know, the moving averages have turned, they're going down. But let's say I was stupid and not impulsive and didn't do that. Maybe I take another 25% off. Maybe that. Okay. Let's see how that plays out. But we're so close to the top, is, you know, anything's possible, right? We could come back up. But we're printing lower highs, man. Maybe. Are we doing it? Got a high? Ooh, a higher low. It's so fascinating. And this is taking, you know, we got a higher low, so just let it play out. You've booked your profits, maybe leave 25% on, and let's see how this plays out. Hold on, let's stretch this out, because our original take profit is here, right? And they've printed a new R1 line. So, and we came real close with this high, but didn't quite take it. And your take profits should, you know, don't have to be like super specific. And again, look to the left, see if there's some place. You don't have to just use the resistance lines. Find an imbalance, find an order block. You could even like take, you know, add in the what is that thing called? The visible range volume profile, I believe. Yeah. And you can see where all of the actual traffic, the buy and sell orders are, like where the order blocks are. And right now they're hanging out here. And, you know, so these points would be areas of serious resistance, right? Because there's a lot of buying and selling. They're fighting in these areas, but once it like breaches a space, it's the sky's the limit. There's nothing going on here. It can just go, you know. Anyway, so let's let this play out and see how that would have worked out. So we printed a lower high, higher low, higher low. This is making me feel like the sellers are getting weak, because they're just not close together. But we're making a higher low. We're making higher lows. Yes. Oh, look at that. So our secondary option, we got our monies. We're out of there with our profits in these three areas. Okay, so just to kind of like recap and see how things are working right for this example. Sorry about that. Switching the channels. I saw the price of Ethereum's is climbing. Anyway, so what did we learn? We learned that, you know, if we can, in a sideways market, you can still do something, and you can still use the CPRs, but you need to know what the trend in the channel is. And that's where we fell down on our first attempt, right? And we got stopped out right there. Let me put that. We got stopped out right there, right? Assuming we were stubborn and we didn't take our profits, or, you know, try to break even or even reverse the trend. But I couldn't say that I would have thought that the trend was going to super reverse from here. honestly, once it broke into the CPR, I might have just been like, well, maybe it'll turn around, and then I probably would have been stopped out. Yeah. And then I would have been like, well, now we're above it. We're obviously going in the opposite direction. Maybe I would have gone backwards and checked the trend within the channel. Because remember, guys, there is a trend within the channel. Let's zoom out. Right? And this is the channel we're going up. Because remember, we started out down here, and we just didn't focus to confirm that the trend was going up. And that's where we lost. So pay attention. Make yourself use whatever means necessary so that you don't fall into this trap I just found myself in. And that would have hurt my heart. I'm gonna be honest, that would have hurt my heart. But that second entry would have taken care of it and then some. Anyway, so just out of curiosity, and just before I end this, let's see if and I'm trading the 15-minute candles. Let's see if it actually hit the top of the channel, and then we'll close out. And we're making higher lows, higher low up. Come on. We're looking like, oh yeah, so you could have also, having been touched a number of times, the top of this could have been your target as well. So it's up to you how you want to trade that. I mean, from the point of entry, how the heck long did that take? Let's just check that out. It's up to our, okay, oops, let me zoom back out here. So first things first, it took how long for us to get stopped out if we'd been stubborn? 12 hours. That's gross. And then just to be stopped out? Hell no. And then re-entering. This feels like it took forever to take your remaining profits. 1 day, 16 hours and 30 minutes. Man, that's rough. If you'd bothered to wait for the actual exact channel, if you're being 2 days and 45 minutes. So handle your risk and money management. Definitely test out the CPR with the moving averages. I'm going to be doing more back tests, but I won't be messing with you guys with this to show you guys, or maybe I will, who knows. But definitely this is a coin I've never tried to trade, and I just pulled it back to a random point. I didn't even know how it was going to play out. Not a clue. So, quick recap, right? Let me just type this out so my brain thinks. So 1, make sure to mark your high level trends. All right. 1, 2. Mark your levels. Right. As many touches as possible. I can't spell, y'all. Don't tell nobody. Mark your levels as many touches as possible. All right. If you're in a channel, be aware of the trend within the channel. As we saw that I was not, and I got shook out. Too sweet. That was no fun for anyone, even if I didn't have any money on the line. And then 4, set your stop loss so the trade has room to breathe. Room to breathe, because that's the thing I've been failing at, is I keep getting stopped out because I only want like a 1% loss. But this market's gonna oscillate, it's gonna move around, it's not gonna like follow what we want. All right, so just give yourself room. You just gotta get used to the fact that you might have to lose a little bit more, so that it can actually do what we want it to do. All right. And then 5, have a target. All right, whether that is the support or resistance levels for the CPR, or if that's like an imbalance that's coming up, or the top of the trend line, or the bottom, depending on what the internal trend direction is, right? Have a target. And then, I think the most important thing, take your profits. I can't type, I'm holding this down. All right. So these are things I'm trying to remember. So I'm going to be keeping these notes for myself as well. Oops. All right, guys. I think this one's going to be a doozy, pretty long. Lots of yappity yapping from the Shakira. What up? So all I'm going to say is none of this is financial advice. I'm just out here back testing a particular strategy that I'm thinking is going to, probably be pretty good for me. And let me know your thoughts in the comments, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. I know it can be a little tedious, but honestly, understanding what you're doing while you're trying to trade these markets, understanding price action, finding a methodology, procedure, whatever that works for you, is most important, because that's what's going to help you make money in these markets instead of being liquidity for the market makers. All right, I think that's good. So basically, I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because remember, this is about my journey. I'm trying to show what I'm thinking and what I'm considering using for trading. And I'll be posting, my wins and losses from this method too. But, if you're not ready and you're new, please, if you're not willing to paper trade, and I seriously suggest that you do, find an exchange, or if you're using TradingView, they've got a nice paper trading option on there so you can test things out before putting your money where your mouth is. Or if you're at the point where you're ready to do that, you've got something, trade with small amounts for a couple of months first, for a few months, maybe 2 to 3 months. And then you can, once you've refined it and modified it, you can add more money. Because I'm in that point where I'm trying to refine and add and, understand before I start trading real amounts. So if I lose 2 to 3 USDT on a bad trade and I make 10, that's okay, because I'm testing. Because what I don't want to do is put, 1,000 USDT and then I lose, 100 of it just testing something. Nah, man, you don't want to mess with your trading capital balance that way. So be mindful, manage your risk. All right, guys, I think I need a nap. I think there's lunch in my future, so y'all enjoy yourselves. Shakira out. I'll be on camera next vid, just not feeling very camera ready today, but I wanted to do this and I figured let me share it with you guys as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's very fascinating potential, so I'm kind of excited about it. All right, bye.